This is Tim Donst. This is not my podcast, but this is the Wrestling Cheers podcast. Catchphrase.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to a bonus episode of Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, even if you are living in the wonderful state of Florida. That's right, we are Wrestling Cheers, and we are brought to you by the Trending Topics Network and NEO Sports Insiders. Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. If you want to get a hold of us, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose, it is WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. I am your host. I am Heavy Set, and, here on Wrestling Cheers, we like to talk about things going on in the Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and every so once in a while we do have interviews. Number one, it's a bonus episode. So there's another episode coming out later this week, and it's also going to be an interview episode, and this one is a special crossover episode. So it's interview / crossover with the wonderful people over at the IndyKast. Now there's like this nice little brotherhood of podcasts, if you will, where we like to help each other out, promote each other, and all that kind of fun stuff. And the other two in particular are Kick Out at 2, which you heard a couple months ago back on here. We did a special crossover with them. And then there is none other than the IndyKast. And part 1 was released last week on their feed. So if you haven't checked that out, please go on over to their feed and check that. It's really easy to find. You can just type in the IndyKast, or it can be found on iTunes under the Wrestling Nerds Radio Network. I am a subscriber, of course, because pretty much any show that I promote on a weekly basis, majority of the time, if not all the time, is a show that I listen to. I've at least listened to at some point. So this is one of those shows I do listen to. I started listening to them a few months back, and that's roughly when we started doing the cross promotion of just like actual simple promoting. Hey, they make posts, they tag us, and vice versa. Same thing with our friends over Kick Out at 2. So I want to, get this intro out of the way and then go into the interview. It's a very, very long interview. So it's almost an hour and a half just of that. It's going to make up for the very short regular episode that we have coming out this week. But that is none other with the brand new AIW Tag Team Champions, the production. All 5 members for the first time as Tag Team Champions, and for the first time all together for a little bit interview. It was getting late. I was allowed 20 minutes and busted out a couple questions. We had a little bit of fun. Almost had a run in from MJF and a special appearance from the also new AIW Intense Champion, Tim fucking Donst. So I have yet to edit that. That'll be something I do, before I'll be doing it tomorrow. So it will be available for Thursday. So anyway, let's get into all of this. And also, I'll repeat it on the regular episode. Normally we do the reviews, I should say, right after an AIW show. But I wanted to put this in there as a little buffer. And next week's episode, regular episode, will be a Absolution 13 review. So that's pretty much it. And we'll be back at the end of the episode to wrap everything up.
What's the deal? It's Mr. Fresh to Death, Pretty Boy Smooth, and you are listening to Wrestling Cheers.
And we are back on the podcast. Another crossover episode, 2 times in 1 year, and we're completing the trifecta of the independent wrestling family that we're trying to grow of Among Podcast. And this time we have on 2 members of the IndyKast, Zach Romero and Chad Allen. How are you guys doing this evening?
Hey, everybody.
We are doing wonderful, Heavyset. How are you?
I'm doing really great. We had a fun conversation on your show. We talked a lot of food. We talked about comedies. Talked about a bunch of other fun stuff. I mean, those are the
wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much the go-to for the IndyKast.
It's the same thing when I did everything with Kick Out at 2. We started talking about like food and traveling and highways and everything. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna put in some wrestling there, but we'll talk about all these other fun things. And I feel like that's what makes podcasts like ours special, because yeah, you can get those type of interviews and those questions and those conversations anywhere, but I don't care who you are, you don't live off 100% wrestling. You have to have some other bone in your body where you have other interests, and we all come from different crazy fandom backgrounds, and it's fun to talk about those other things. And also, who doesn't love talking about food?
Right?
True.
I think if there's any podcast that might talk more about food than us, it's definitely the Kick Out at 2 group. I
think the other thing too is, the 3 of us here, all of these different podcasts,
these lovely nerdy people.
What else are we going to talk? Like, if we were serious business, let's say we weren't talking about food and movies and stuff like that, and we were like, oh no, okay, we're having this crossover, so let's talk about what we all know. Hey, editing's a real pain in the ass. Like that, who's listening to that? So like, okay, yeah, we've all done podcasts. We've all had the butterflies in our tum-tum when we're like, I gotta talk to this wrestler. Hope they don't hate me when this is done. Like that, what else is there to talk about in terms of what makes a podcast? Right. So yeah, we're gonna talk about other stuff that hopefully we can all connect on, like Chris Farley, the stylings of Chris Farley in the 90s.
So I can say one of the biggest things that makes me happy about our podcast, all 3 of ours, and I'm sure you've gotten this too, it's the weird, like, minor recognition that you'll get from time to time from the people that you don't expect. Hear me out on this one. Shut up before you say that.
I've never experienced that, so I can't agree with you.
Example. So you and I, we all, actually the entire IndyKast crew was at Shine Wrestling.
True.
Fairly recently here. And as always, I have basically a uniform that I tend to wear to wrestling shows, which is usually a pair of dark pants for my kilt and my IndyKast t-shirt, which, by the way, Luna Lynn, if you're listening to this, just kidding, no, you're not. But I need another IndyKast shirt.
Okay.
But I walk up to Leva Bates, pretty damn famous wrestler. She's known, I would say, fairly worldwide for, even just for her stint in NXT as Blue Pants. When I walked up, she saw the shirt, clicked 2 and 2 that she knew who the hell I was, and then it went from just the typical, like, oh, hey,
great
you want
to
buy
see
a shirt?
yeah.
Oh, hey, and an actual, like, legitimate hug and stuff like that. That's one of those moments where we've done enough
let me one-up you on that, because your story was, I wore a shirt with my show on it, and a wrestler who was on it was like, oh yeah, I think I did that. The actual example I think you're looking for comes from David Starr, because David Starr has spotted us at wrestling shows before, not wearing uniforms.
That's true.
And goes, hey, IndyKast, what's going on? So he knows us.
And we all turned into little
we'll get all giddy. So yes, that's pretty fantastic to be rubbing elbows with people that are rich and famous and know who the hell we are sometimes. Because I don't know if you know this, since we're on digital radio here, we're all nerdy men with beards.
Yes.
That won't turn down a cheesesteak. So we kind of come a dime a dozen.
Cheesesteaks here?
Well, we kind of come a dime a dozen. So any way that we can stand out and have them go like, oh yeah, I did your show, it didn't suck. That does feel pretty good. I thought you meant like fans at wrestling shows being like, hey, I listened to your show, it's great, because that never happened.
No.
I ring announce at shows and people won't even do that to me. And they see my face and they're like, who are you?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I've had the benefit of just being a fan in this area for so long. Like, I think one of my 2 favorite moments, one of being, I remember getting an 8x10 from Veda. Like, I've known her for a while. I had her on the Ohio Indie Report at the time, and I was like, yeah, I want this picture, and she just fills it out and, like, signs my name. Like, doesn't do the typical, like, what's your name? Like, how do you spell it? She just signs it. I'm just like, wow. either I'm annoying enough or to whatever, she knows my
I'm
name.
burned into her brain forever.
And then the other one was
Can't be that bad.
the other one was on a Facebook Live video. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa before obviously the breakup, when they were before they even had to name a DIY, they were doing this typical thing that a lot of NXT wrestlers were doing, was getting on live and reacting to people's posts and questions. Like, I think one of my favorite ones was the Revival. Like, somebody would say something and they would have a comeback. So you really got to see how good they were. But with Gargano and Ciampa, it was like right after the Cruiserweight Classic match. And, they're just, talking about all this kind of stuff. And they were taking questions from people. And like I said, I've known Johnny for a while, and like, we love talking sports. And one that I threw out there, because people were just throwing out random questions, I was like, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl? And Tommaso was actually picking the questions, and they were reading the names. They get to my question, because they're like, all right, it was Tommaso saying, we're going to do one more question before we wrap it up. Who's winning the Super Bowl? Justin Summers. And on Facebook, fucking Facebook Live, NXT Instagram, not Instagram, but Facebook, Johnny Gargano goes, that's my guy. That's my guy. The Justin guy. Like, he kind of like, hey, I know him. And I'm like, wow, that's nuts. He just said,
you need to frame that screenshot and put it above your mantle. Right.
I downloaded the video. I saved the audio. Oh yeah. Because it's in between that. And if you, ever seen the whole shebang, his final show at AIW, the final independent wrestling show, he names off a couple fans. I got thrown in there. And like, that was just like, wow. He could have named a bunch of people. I haven't been following him his whole career. I just started following in 2011, but I've made enough impression on that. He seen me in the crowd and he wanted to say my name of people that he wanted to thank. It's like, that's mind blowing.
Well, this has been the Nut Swingers podcast.
Yeah, I try not to go into those too much, but I don't know. They're fun stories. We're all wrestling fans. We like having these mark out moments, whether they're in wrestling and out of wrestling. We have different things to mark out for.
That's true.
We have a bunch of mark out moments we can't even talk about on air.
Yeah, that's true.
There's 2 or 3.
Statute of limitations still on those.
Yeah.
But, Florida is a weird wrestling scene. So, I have a question for you, Heavyset.
Okay.
Because on the IndyKast,
we're interviewing him still?
Yeah. I can't not. So on the IndyKast, we've talked many, many times about theme parks in Florida.
Okay.
Because although we are just this heaping pile of white trash and alligators, we also have a lot of theme parks.
Really good theme parks.
Yeah. And so we've kind of debated about, like, what is great at Disney, what's trash at Disney, what's great at Universal, what's trash at Universal. However,
Cedar Point up in that area.
Cedar Point, Jogga Lake, Kings Island are all, like, in that sort of area.
I got bad news for you. Jogga Lake's been closed for a number of years.
I should also mention that although growing up in Cuyahoga Falls, it's been a long time since I've been to Ohio. But anyway, so theme park-wise, is there anything, do you frequent any? Do you give a shit? Like, is there anything up there that you actually go to? Like anything like Kings Island or anything like that, or Cedar Point?
For me, it was Jogga Lake. That's what I grew up with. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like, within an hour from my house, probably a little bit shorter than that in lovely Aurora, Ohio. But they stopped doing the rides in, I think, like 2006, 2007. And then it was a water park up until the end of, I want to say 2016. And I hadn't gone back since they made it just a water park, because I grew up with the Double Loop and the Raging Wolf Bob's. And, when they went from originally being Jogga Lake to owned by Six Flags to Cedar Fair buying them, for those who don't know, that is Cedar Point. So they buy them and they bring back Jogga Lake and they bring back all these things that you love. And then eventually they go, you know what? We're getting rid of it. And that's what really broke my heart, because my first roller coaster I ever rode was the Double Loop at Jogga Lake. And it had a special place in my heart. And if I ever wanted to go to, Cedar Point, that was like much farther away, like well over an hour, hour and a half. I don't know if it's 2 hours, but it's still such a long distance.
Lifetime as a kid.
Right.
Yeah. And the cool thing, when Jogga Lake was dying down, like, you could get in ride lines a lot easier. There was times that you're done with the roller coaster and it's like, no one else is here. You want to go on again? Yeah, sure, let's do it. So got to experience it again. The not having to wait those even long lines. If there is a line, you might have to wait 10 minutes, if that. To then go to a place like freaking Cedar Point where, yeah, you got like a 1 hour wait, a 2 hour wait. And I have genetically bad ankles. I was born with joints in both of my feet that don't move. So when I'm standing for a long period of time, they swell up. Swelling up, not to where it's like just this massive, ankle. It's just, it hurts to walk because they're swollen. And, that's when I really discovered that I had that issue because, yeah, you're on your feet pretty much the whole day. And when you're waiting in, a line for one roller coaster and it's a good hour. And if you're like, oh, an hour, that's it at that time. Like, I think I actually kind of got burnt out with roller coasters and everything. I went for a company picnic for an old company I worked at. And I don't know, like, just, it was gone. I didn't care anymore. And that's what sucks because Cedar Point's supposed to be like, the roller coaster capital. Like, that's supposed to be the best, amusement park in the world outside of, all your Disney and Universal stuff. And yeah, it's just, I lost my love for it. I lost my smile, Shawn Michaels.
That's true. It's the theme park equivalent.
He's all out of love.
Right.
He's all lost with that.
Right.
So there's something, like, I don't want to do in the whole typical podcast thing, but I do want to know, like, more of the origin of your podcast, because the funny thing is, and I've never really told many people this, I was a part of the Cult of Kayfabe for a number of years, and I'd always see...
You're a sinner as well?
I would always see your guys' podcast being promoted, and I would, obviously being a podcaster myself and everything, I'd just be like, who the fuck are these guys? Fuck them. Not even listening. And then, becoming friends with, Kick Out at 2, and then like actually listening to the podcast. And actually not too long ago, I said, you know what? I'm just going to start listening to like people keep telling me about. And IndyKast was one of them. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give these guys a try. Screw it. Let's do it. And I was like, well, I had been avoiding these guys for a long time for no stupid fucking reason. So I do need to know like the origin of how they started. You guys have been going on about as long as I have, but you have been way more consistent than I've ever been.
That should be your calling card. We are the most consistently awesome podcast in independent wrestling. So we'll go back a bit. So yeah, back to the Cult of Kayfabe.
I was going to say, yeah, give the quick origin story in case, clean people are listening to this and don't know what that is.
Cult of Kayfabe is a professional wrestling group on Facebook that currently, right now, I think has something about 40,000.
It is gigantic.
Yeah, it's
and for good reason.
Right. We're very big on, especially for the admins, in making sure that it's not a lot of crap
posting.
It's usually we try to keep, as we like to say, we try to keep our cock clean. But they had bing bong. They had started a podcast called the Cockcast, surprisingly, mostly talking about the WWE and the occasional sprinkling of TNA. And I had come along at one point and went, hey, we're missing a big chunk of what's going on out there with the independent scene, and I think we need to remedy that. And James Ryder, who runs Cult of Kayfabe, and Corey Vitrek, who runs Cult of Kayfabe, said, hey, that sounds great. It's all yours. Go ahead and make it happen.
Sounds great. That's your problem.
Right,
now.
Exactly. So from there, I had actually met Zach and his lovely then fiance. You guys weren't even married yet. At interestingly enough, a Shine show.
Shine 7.
Shine 7, where we all had paid for the ultra expensive.
Oh yeah,
stage. We were on the stage.
Yeah. And it was like you had the there was like an after party thing where you were supposed to like meet the wrestlers.
That I
and
went to.
It was just like a fruit tray, and Evil East just looking exhausted and be like, why am I here?
Why am I here?
Yeah, amazing.
But we met at that and just
became fast friends.
Became buddies over
I
there.
was wearing a Mega Powers Mega Man shirt that you complimented.
8-bit, that's what started it.
And
the suit jacket, of course.
Yeah. I'm a dapper Dan.
But I was looking for, so okay, well I've got the okay to do this. I can't really do it by myself. I need a co-host. And I asked Zach about it, and I'll let you tell the story of the first few episodes we tried to record. I think that's a funny story.
The first few were real rough. We tried to do it over Skype because that's how a lot of podcasts that aren't, in the same room, or like there's podcasts where hosts live in different states or cities or whatever. So we tried to do it over Skype, And the first episode, we're running fine. It's like we're like 3 minutes in, and at the time, Jervis Cottonbelly had just popped up in Chikara, and we really wanted to talk about him because we love his character. And as soon as we start talking about Jervis Cottonbelly, the connection on Skype completely shits the bed, and we cannot get it to work. So we try again. I think a few days later, we try again. We do the Skype thing again. We get like 10 minutes in. We bring up the Jervis Cottonbelly story again. Shits the bed all over again. Cannot get it to work. So finally, we said we both had tuberculosis, and then we decided to hell with this, and so we just started meeting up because, Luna and I lived out in the boonies, and Chad lived in Tampa, and so we were just going to make the journey to one another's house and just record it there. And we've been basically doing it ever since.
Which is how Luna
5 years ago.
Which is how Luna got involved in the show, because she was just sitting in the room.
Right.
Because she was just going to be like our producer.
Right.
And then she ended up chiming in on something because she couldn't help herself.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, hold it. Maybe having somebody,
female is not a bad idea.
Somebody with a vagina on the show might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, those were simpler days.
We still have somebody with a vagina on the show. That's like,
sure.
That's why my wife jumped in.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of how it all got started. We were fast friends. We became podcast co-hosts, and now we are just basically a big family now.
Yeah.
And so that's the IndyKast. That's 5 years ago.
My kids can't wait until Mr. Zach and Miss Luna come over. So.
Well, to be fair, I really kick ass on Nintendo Switch. But, and so that's been it. That's been our journey ever since. We've interviewed a ton of people. We've had a lot of weird conversations. Chad and I reviewed the pilot episode of the Pamela Anderson TV show VIP.
We reviewed the China adult video.
We have reviewed the China Queen of the Ring video as well as the Sunny video. Yeah. Hey, it's just dawned on me. We host a really weird show.
Yeah.
That's very odd to summarize.
And by the way, if some other wrestler, and I don't even care if it's a guy or a girl, could please do some sort of adult video so we have something to record.
We still need to get Tommy Fissel on. Oh, we've reviewed an adult film star.
We had Jesse Jane on.
We've had all kinds of Chikara characters. We've had David Starr on a half a dozen times.
Rich Swan's been on before.
Rich Swan, Sue Young,
Leva Bass.
Mia Yim told us we didn't suck, which is pretty great.
That was actually legitimately what she said.
That this podcast didn't suck. Lindsay Dorado. What other name drops can we do?
Got a bunch.
Effie, White Mike after their controversy. We've been involved in controversies on the show.
We're in the middle of a controversy right now.
We got threatened with a lawsuit.
We did.
The show's been super weird.
And then the past year and a half, though, we separated from Cult of Kayfabe.
Cult of Kayfabe decided that they were just sort of wrapping up on their online stuff. It was costing a lot of money and stuff like that.
It was a polite breakup. We took it over, and here we are.
And so now we've stretched out on our own and have been branching out.
A lot more successful than we thought it was. Actually.
Yeah. We were kind of down in the dumps, and then we did some research. Hey, we don't suck. That's pretty nice.
We've got some okay numbers.
And that's the IndyKast in a nutshell. Also, we all have Disney passes, and so we talk about that bullshit a lot.
Yeah.
By
the way, group system. We got to set that up, goddammit.
I've been really fascinated about Disney because I've never, ever been to any of the Disney parks.
Well, when you come down to
first of all, make a journey.
Come down.
You don't have to eat Wawa, but it would help.
I'll let you eat Wawa.
Well, okay. Last time, actually, when I went down for WrestleMania last year in Orlando, I did eat at a Wawa that was right down the road from my hotel, and they did not have the customary cookies and cream milk. That actually made me mad. Like, they didn't even have a section for those type of milks. Like, if there was a thing that I've seen in Philly where, okay, cookies and cream milk should be right here, but they did not have it even available like that. And that...
Cardinal sin.
Yeah, so...
Now here's my question. I'm very interested. You came down here so you were down here in Orlando for WrestleMania, which we were both at as well.
Yep.
Me and my lovely wife and our roommate, you with King George.
Right, true, yeah.
Sitting around watching the show. I sure didn't. You showed up on your Instagram not that long ago. So did you go to did you just do the WWE stuff? Or did you do any of the indie games?
I did a lot of independent stuff. I think the only WWE stuff I did besides WrestleMania itself was one thing of Access the day of WrestleMania. So it was not a lot of your bigger names. It was people who weren't going to be wrestling at WrestleMania, people who didn't wrestle at NXT. So I know, like, I got in a line for X-Pac and Kane, and I was actually kind of sad that it was switched out before I got there to Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Like, I love Zack Ryder, I love Kurt Hawkins, but Kane is like one of my top favorite wrestlers of all time. So to see him get pulled away, I'm like, God, I love Zack. We're fellow.
Right, yeah.
Well, me and Zack are fellow Ghost Heads, aka Ghostbuster fans. So to see him get pulled away, I'm like, him get brought. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but Kane, love Kane. But I did go. Like, I went to. Let me see. I went to Progress. I went to the one Super Show. The the WrestleCon Super Show actually.
Okay.
I went to ROH. Supercard of Honor, that was fun. I know Evolve right after Progress, which I think of all the shows that I went to, the one that I loved the most was Progress. It was because it felt like you took the Progress audience from England and you transplanted it in Orlando.
Well, it's because probably it was.
Well, but I think there was also just so many like huge fans of the product, even stateside, that they carried that over. Like, I don't get to watch Progress that much, but I know I had a bunch of friends from the UK tell me, hey, like, check them out. And I was like, that's actually already on my list. I'm going to go see these. Oh, you're going to love it. And I did. And the Evolve show was right after it. And I think the main event of that was, Darby Allin versus Ethan Page, and frickin' Ethan Page pretty much murdered Darby Allin. But the crowd was way smaller and they weren't into it as the Progress fans for it. I'm like, wow, that it was a night and day difference. And I was sad for Evolve, but I was like, well, Progress, like, it showed like why, like, this little company from England can make waves over here and still be that successful.
So Heavyset and I obviously both at the Ring of Honor show that weekend. Sad that we didn't cross paths at the first Punk Pro shows that ever were.
I was wondering if he did show up to some of the really small ones.
I would have felt like a real dick if he had been like, yeah, what's the Punk Pro show? I'd be like, I didn't shake your hand, I'm sorry.
No, I did not go to that, because like it was me and a friend came down. I drove because I love food, and since I'm no longer an over-the-road truck driver, there's places that I wanted to go to that I know I could get along the way. Like, for example, like, I had friends who all went to Dallas for WrestleMania the year before, and one of my favorite restaurants in the world is Whataburger. Then I found out there is some Whataburgers in Jacksonville. So I was like, okay, I'm driving down there mainly because I want to be able to stop at a Whataburger on my way there. So I did that on the way there. And on the way back, we stopped at a Zaxby's, which is another restaurant. Is that really in Florida much?
Yeah.
They just opened one in our neighborhood, and it's delicious. Always gives me the runs. I don't
like them. I stopped at one. I didn't like it. Now, Whataburger is possibly my favorite burger joint in the world.
Interesting.
Because I had that legitimately. I was in San Antonio for my shoot job, and they had a In-N-Out, they had a Jack in the Box, and they had a Whataburger all in San Antonio. And the only one I went back to multiple times was Whataburger. I think I was there for 2 weeks, and I think I went to Whataburger like 4 times. I'm not proud of it, but that's how good Whataburger was. And I was like, I'm going back to Whataburger.
Oh, you should start trying to stop me.
Nobody could. I was there by myself. I'm good.
I think my favorite story about Whataburger was literally the first time I went. I was, at the time, being over the road. Me and my partner, we stopped at a parking lot that had a Whataburger there because he was like, oh, I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I really want to go. And I was like, yeah, I've heard good things about it too. Let's stop. And as I'm walking inside, this worker there who's like just taking out the garbage and coming back inside, he opens the door for me and goes, welcome back. I'm like, I've never been into a Whataburger in my life until now. He's like, what? You look like a guy that was just here. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that's telling me that I'm fat or whatever. And I just look like everybody else that comes through here. But I'm like, no, I've never been in a Whataburger in my life.
Podcast just recorded here.
My favorite thing to get there, though, it's funny. It's not burger. It's the barbecue chicken strip sandwich.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, like their burgers are good. The patty melt, which I know a couple other my friends like rave about, it's good too. But that, like, when I had that, I was like, oh my god, this is granted. It's just some chicken strips, some cheese, barbecue sauce, but it's amazing. And when I took my friend down for WrestleMania, and he had never had it, Like, I got my thing, and I'm like, get whatever. And, I'm like, was it worth it? He's like, yeah, this is pretty freaking good. I'm like, yep. Like, that's Whataburger. And actually, I've seen Alley Cat. Like, I know she walks around with if you see pictures of her, with a Whataburger fanny pack. I end up, and it took me a little while, I found one on eBay, and I bought it just because I think that is so awesome. I miss Whataburger so much.
Well, I like that his first experience at a Whataburger was the Shining Hotel of Whataburgers.
Right.
Like, welcome back. Oh, I haven't been here. Oh, it's been you, Heavyset. It's always been you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So you've never been to a Disney park. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like, yeah, I don't really give a shit, 10 being like, yum, yum, give me some. How do you feel about Disney movies?
Love them. I was actually,
Okay.
I wanted, because I actually haven't figured out your guys' special question for the Fae 5, but I thought it was going to be Disney related because one of my favorite movies of last year was a Disney movie.
Which was?
Coco.
I believe the winner,
great debate.
The winner of our
Bracket.
our March Madness bracket,
AKA 2 episodes for 4 grown-ass people argue about children's movies.
That's right.
Yes.
When I went to go see it, because that's the thing I love about Pixar movies is a lot of them really touch your heart, and they'll find a way to get to all of your emotions, and at the end they're going to give you a reason that you're almost going to cry. Or even like a movie like Up, you're going to give you about 5 minutes and they're going to make you cry. And when I even went to go see that movie, it was in the first couple minutes. Like he goes to this movie theater, he's like a really happy kid, he meets this girl, and you could tell like they're going to get married. And I go, every preview I've seen about this movie, he's a grumpy, oh my God, no. Oh, they get married. No, don't do, oh, no. Oh, she's getting sick. Oh God, no. Oh no. And then she died. But with Coco, it was definitely a movie, like I felt that in the movie theater. Like I'll openly admit I cried a little. And then my girlfriend actually fell asleep during it because we saw it at like a late showing and she was just really exhausted. And I was like, okay, like that sucks. She missed it, but we have Movie Pass, so it was no big deal. Then we buy it and we're watching it. And she remembers some things. Like she knows like who his real dad is, Miguel's real dad is and everything. And then it gets to the part where he's coming back from the land of the dead to go sing to Coco. And like, she just looks at me and she's like starting to cry. And like, I'm like, I'd already seen it. I know what's happening and it still gets me.
You're like, I know, okay, get up.
And I think like after I watched the movie too, I downloaded all the versions of Remember Me. And when you get to that one from that moment, if you had just watched it, it's so fresh in your mind where like you still like, I'm not gonna cry. It's like the Sarah McLachlan commercials on TV. It's like, in the arms of Remember Me.
Yeah, that's my fault somehow. Well, I was gonna say similarly to the girlfriend sleeping during emotional moment. I talked about seeing Incredibles 2, and there's a short at the beginning about a little dumpling boy,
yes.
And very similar in terms of like, oh, here come the tears. I am like misty-eyed at the end of this thing. I feel super guilty. I have to call my mom afterwards. And I look at Luna, my wife, and she's just like, so did she eat that kid or what? And I'm like, what? She's like, she ate that kid, though. Like, it's called a metaphor, sweetheart. What the hell were you watching? I didn't get it. What the fuck?
That's the other fun thing.
They just don't understand.
I would say that's the other fun thing about Pixar movies. They have those shorts, and those shorts are all really good. Like, you'll always have at least one or two in your mind that you remember. Like, I don't remember which movies they came before, but I remember watching them. And I remember them, like, getting to me a little bit. And it's one of the things, too. Some of them don't even have, like, I think all of them, like, don't have really dialogue. It's all, through music and everything. Or the sound effects. It's never actual
Right. We want to do, like, the multicultural ones, because the Mickey Mouse shorts do that. They'll do, like, multicultural shorts that either don't have dialogue or use music so that people from other countries can watch and they're like, yeah, that's great.
So then, interesting question: What is your favorite short that they've done?
The one that comes to my mind the most is the bird at the beach.
Piper.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. I forget what movie that was in front of.
Come on, you got it.
I don't know what movie.
Oh, you son of a! You answered it so confidently.
Well, because I knew the movie because it's really cool about a cute little bird who learns how to go find food and stuff, and It's adorable, and it's named after the same name as my daughter.
Right,
It's
okay.
pretty easy.
That's fair.
Mr. Romero? The one where the lady ate the baby?
The one with the cannibal mom? No. That one made me real sad. No, the one, you know what the one I remember? The one I remember most is, way back. An old guy playing chess with himself.
Okay,
He had like the multiple
Yeah.
personalities.
That's
like
another one.
Toy Story 1, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like that's the one that sticks out in my
The
mind.
Toy Story 1's the one with the birds on wire, I do believe.
Oh, okay. Then I didn't give a shit about that. Then whatever the one with the old man playing chess with himself. That was that sticks in my mind.
It's
Because then they played for teeth. That was the
Right.
That was the punchline, I guess.
Right.
Or the punchline is he's senile.
He's crazy, right.
So to put him in the home. But anyway, so the reason why I asked about Disney shit is so why haven't you made the trip to a Disney? Why haven't you made a trip to Mecca yet? Why haven't you come to a Disney theme park?
Well, the closest I was WrestleMania weekend when I had to take some stuff back to a friend of mine who was like right down the road from Disney World. For me, it was more just growing up. We grew up kind of poor. I grew up legitimately in a trailer park, and the only family vacations we ever did was one out to Arizona to see family, and another one to Washington D.C. And it's definitely a thing that I want to do, and it's just I know it's a lot of money, and my money is always going elsewhere as an adult, but I don't know whether I would enjoy it more as an adult or a kid, because I do see aspects, even watching stuff on YouTube, because thank you, Ethan Page, not making me, but I watched your YouTube show, and you're showing all these things you went to at a Disney theme park, so there was a Disney tags in those, and all of a sudden YouTube goes, hey, you might like this one about Disney theme parks. Oh, watch this one, the 10 things you don't do if you want to eat at Disney. Here's the things that you don't know about. I'm like, God damn it. I kept watching them on. I'm like, oh, great. I'm a 32-year-old adult, and now I want to go to Disney more than I ever have in my life because I've watched these videos. Thank you, Ethan Page.
I'm a 42-year-old adult with an annual pass. I highly recommend watching Tim Tracker.
I was saying annual pass, and who actively tries to come up with ways to ditch their kids so they can go to Disney as adults.
Hell yeah. Are you kidding me?
Well, here's the thing. Here's a couple things to think about. Number one, if you're ever in Florida or in a Orlando area, but you don't quite have the cash for a full-blown Disney trip, you can always do Disney Springs,
True.
which is free to get in, and it's just all shops and things like that. But you get a little taste of the Disney experience there. There's all kinds of cool Disney merch. There's a Lego store there. There's poutine fries.
The world's largest Disney store.
Yeah. So that's a good little, kind of wet the palate a little bit. But yeah, no, bottom line is get your ass to Florida and we'll give you the grand tour. And I think as pass holders, doesn't he get a discount if he buys his ticket with us or something like that?
They did it for a little while. I don't know if they still have that offer going.
No, they fired James Gunn. They Walt's Nazi and no more discounts. But anyway, so yeah, come on down to Florida, bring your lovely girlfriend, and we'll give you the grand tour. Don't go to Hollywood Studios right now because it's all under construction.
And the part that is open now is freaking
swamped.
crazy.
Epcot is for education purposes. Nobody needs that. Animal Kingdom sucks. So Magic Kingdom, I think.
Okay, now pause that sentiment for a little while there so we can argue that on our show later. Animal Kingdom does not suck. How dare you, sir?
Quote me one line from the movie fucking Avatar. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, so
other than you know what, I will gladly argue Animal Kingdom without using Avatar. Quite honestly. So you can shut the fuck up.
This is the last episode of the IndyKast. The whole show broke up. You got an exclusive right there.
I will gladly. Gladly do this fight later.
No, you're right. He should drive 100 miles from Ohio to come and be bored by a very expensive zoo. You're right. You got it. You nailed it. Anyway.
Drive a couple hundred miles there.
While you're at it. I'm gonna fucking show them the
That's
world.
not open anymore.
Good. Anyway, so no, we'll do Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
We'll do the Haunted Mansion. I'll yell at anybody who has a flashlight on during the ride.
I will punch somebody in the face. Oh my God. Ride. There will be physical violence.
Ooh, that got a little excited. I didn't expect that to get so spicy. Yeah, so no, come down to Disney and we'll give you the grand tour.
Yeah.
Now, you guys, how long have you lived in Florida?
I'm almost at a decade now. I'm over a decade now. How about
let's see. How old is my brother? My brother is 26. Oh, God, he's 26? Gross. 26 years I've been living in Florida.
So you've at least lived there at part of the prime of Nickelodeon.
Oh, absolutely, my good man.
Allow me to step back. Well, Captain Jack's Boat Tour kicks in because you're going into your second one here.
Yeah, no, I was there. I've been there since the heyday of Universal when all the Nickelodeon shows were filmed there. All the Double Dare and Legends of the Hidden Temple and Guts and all that were filmed at the big soundstage that's now the Blue Man Group show. I was there when Jaws was there. I was there when King Kong was there. I was there when Back to the Future was there. Yeah, I saw all that shit all get turned into simulator rides.
That was, like, if I went as a kid, I was more wanting to go to Universal Studios more than I ever wanted Disney because I was definitely a Nickelodeon kid. And, like, always, especially at the end of a lot of those live shows, like, you know, taped in front of a live studio audience at Universal Studios.
You can ride the movie.
Yeah. And like, close to, like, back in the, like, Wild Crazy Kids where they had stuff that were set up around the park. And to, like, watch YouTube videos where you see, like, the deconstruction or you see the before and after or what I think this is completely sucks is how in the early 90s they buried that time capsule and it was supposed to be like, oh, it's going to be open for kids in the future. And I think that was going to be 50 years. So it's going to be open in like 2040 something, I want to say. And not 2040. Yeah, 2040 something. And like now it was eventually moved to a Nickelodeon resort. And then I recently found out that's now gone. So there's this time capsule. It's supposed to be a huge ass deal. Completely gone.
Well, that Britney Spears CD will have to live on elsewhere, I guess, in that lava lamp or something. No, it's a big boner killer. It's the Holocaust Museum of Theme Parks.
Oh my God!
It's frowny faces and no good time. Although really, if they were going to just make all the money, you would reopen some aspect that's just an amalgamation of all the old Nickelodeon properties because they still own it, they still make money off it, and the resurgence of Double Dare is a big thing. You know, they made the Hey Arnold movie. They're supposedly redoing Rugrats. So now is a great time to bring back Nickelodeon nostalgia because 30-somethings like us would buy the shit out of it.
You can get rid of that whole, like, comic strip part.
Oh,
Cartoon Lagoon or
Toon
whatever.
Lagoon. Yeah, no, bulldoze all that.
Yeah.
It's hot garbage. Nobody cares about the Cassie ice cream shop or fucking Blondie's sandwich. This is
Dagwood.
cold. Yeah, Dagwood. This is horseshit. Yeah, so there's actually 2 Universal parks now in Florida. There's Islands of Adventure and there's the Classic Universal. Unfortunately, Classic Universal is going through a bit of an identity crisis at the moment. You no longer ride the movies. It's no longer based on being on a movie studio set. It's now just, hey, here's a property that we're hoping anyone remembers for the next 10 minutes. So you've got things like Jimmy Fallon. You've got things like Fast and the Furious. You've still got E.T. standing as a beacon of light from days past.
Men in Black.
Men in Black is pretty awesome. Simpsons I've boycotted because it replaced Back to the Future.
And then they're redoing the Jurassic Park ride. I did actually see a video about that recently too.
Are they redoing Jurassic Park?
Yeah, what are they doing to it?
I thought like they were redoing it for Jurassic World, or was it the?
Not surprising. When the first movie came out, they redid the area a little bit and updated some things, but I didn't know that they were fully committing to the ride. That makes sense.
It's actually a decent ride. The ride holds up better than the actual movie did.
Again, this is the final episode of the IndyKast. Hope everyone enjoyed the ride. Yeah, I know, and this is first-hand footage of the show breaking up.
I did learn an interesting fact about that ride today, is that it was actually not made, originally intended to be made for the movie. It was originally intended to be made for the book. And it was during the production of the movie and actually how the success it did, they're like, oh, we need to change what we're doing because the movie is way bigger hit than we thought it would be.
Not necessarily. I believe that because, not that they fucking advertise it as such, but Islands of Adventure is supposed to be literature.
Right.
Because old Universal is supposed to be film. Because you've got Marvel Superhero Island, which is comic books.
Right.
You've got Harry Potter, which is all obviously novels. You've got Dr. Seuss. So yeah, they were all supposed to be literary. And then fucking King Kong, because we need a room for that ride. So there it is. Yeah.
King Kong Skull Island, the only one of the few rides that my 3-year-old is big enough to get on.
Yeah, you know, that thrill ride. That's supposed to scare the shit out of them. Yeah, if you want to do Universal, I'll drag you through Universal as well, and we can play the this used to be cool game, or we can do Disney. Whatever you want to do.
So this used to be cool game. That's sad but true.
They do have, I will say this, the Spider-Man ride kicks ass.
It does.
The Transformers ride is the exact same ride. Why do we have two versions of the same ride?
Never ridden it once.
Hate
Transformers.
You've already ridden it. It's the Spider-Man ride.
I don't like the Transformers either, so fuck your overlay.
I was going to say now, the Mummy roller coaster doesn't suck.
My wife says the Harry Potter stuff's good.
Harry Potter's fine. It's good. There's a store called the Vault that's in the middle of the park, and it has it's like the Sadness Club. It's only merchandise for stuff that's gone. So like you can go get Jaws stuff, you can go get Back to the Future stuff. It's all in there.
And a lot of it's in your house.
And a lot of it is in my house. Oh yeah, there's also the prop shop where they sell off old shit from the park. So like they just tore down the Beetlejuice stage show, and you can buy the platform that Frankenstein laid on and shit. So yeah. Lots of awesome ways to throw away your money. So this has been the theme park part of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Not sponsored by any of them.
No.
But Lord knows we should be.
Dear Disney, if you'd like to sponsor our podcast, please contact us at IndyKast@gmail.com.
Right.
That's IndyKast@gmail.com.
Sponsored by Jogga Lake, but they're not giving us any money because they're no longer around.
They're dead. How was the I don't want to keep talking about theme park stuff, but how was the official, like, what was the press conference from Jogga Lake? Like, hey kids, this summer, no more fucking rides.
Yeah.
Just we have a hose and a slip and slide.
It's like Toys R Us. Your childhood is over.
No, it's just splash. How do they sell that? How do they spin that?
I think the first time they came out and they're like, okay, like we're going to get rid of the rides. We're just going to do, water park only. That was a huge deal because there are so many historic rides at that point at Jogga Lake. The Big Dipper was a roller coaster that I think been around since like the 20s, and it was supposed to be like, oh, this was one of the first roller coasters like it in the state. Like we can't get rid of it, and I think that stood for many years. It was really sad for a number of years, especially because there used to be across the little lake was SeaWorld. So if you grew up around that time period, you had Jogga Lake on one side, SeaWorld on the other, and then Jogga Lake got bought by Six Flags. So it was still that kind of dynamic where you had a great, cool amusement park on one side with rides, the other one cool marine amusement park on the other side. Eventually, SeaWorld was trying to get out of Ohio because they were like, we have all these really top-notch locations, and then we have one in the middle of Ohio, and we have to close half the year, so let's get out of there. They sold it to, I want to say, to Six Flags. They tried to run like two kind of parks at the same time. They got out of it. So here comes Cedar Fair buying up the properties, and slowly but surely it started dying away. And they ended up taking that SeaWorld, the old SeaWorld property, and that's what became more of the water park side of it.
Well, more of the focal point.
Yeah. And then, even when it was the two, you still had the rides on one side, but then you had all these, water park type stuff on the other side. And then when they decided to basically close off all of the of the amusement park side, you just had this ghost town of rides, and you drive past it on the road, and the regular high fences, but then you just see these shadows of these like roller coasters that are still sitting there, and like nobody's been there in years. I know if you go on YouTube, you can find people flying drones or people sneaking in, maybe all ironically enough to kind of connect both of our sides of the United States, or both of our parts, is how people sneak into Nickelodeon, the old Nickelodeon studios, and take videos and all this stuff. It's the same thing with Jogga Lake, where people are going in, sneaking in, and taking these pictures of this just place that's just decomposed. Anyway, let's talk about wrestling for a second. Since that's kind of what we both do. And I do want to throw out, because I want to know if a name that I'm thinking will show up, since you guys threw it to me, and that's, is there any names in Florida that we should know about?
You're pointing at me.
You go first.
Oh, shit, I don't know. Florida-based talent that people should know more about. Saeed El-Sabah.
Okay.
I'll throw that one out there really quickly. If you have not caught Saeed El-Sabah yet.
He just made an appearance on Evolve for the first time recently.
So, starting to make a name for himself, but definitely local Florida talent, I think, has a bright future ahead of him.
I have to go. I know he's
You're
starting
one
to
of his buddies, aren't you?
No. He's starting to branch out, but I got to give it to. Well, I don't know. Whatever. I got to give it to Effie.
Yeah, that was good.
Effie is daddy. I mean, he is
daddy.
The most entertaining wrestling deity of 2018. He is a hashtag feminist icon. Like, for somebody
He's the weapon of fast
he is a weapon of fast start. And everybody's dream match opponent in 2019.
Did you get that on his card?
I did.
Good.
So Effie, we've had on the show a couple times, and is amazing because whatever your show needs, Effie will fill that void. If you need someone who's going to be a little more lighthearted and like is okay with comedy and introducing that kind of stuff into wrestling, Effie's no problem. In fact, at the most recent Full Impact Pro show, he got a top rope burn on his genitalia as two men grabbed him on either side and just slowly drug him across the top rope, groin first. But also, he's actually a very, very talented wrestler and a great talker. And, so yeah, big on Effie, big on Saeed El Sabah, and they just wrestled at Fest. They did this past weekend. So we're both on the right track in terms of booking.
Also, since now that more names are popping into my head right now, Troy Hollywood.
Oh, of course, no, everyone who we've had on our show over the last year and a half is all winner chicken dinners. Like that is all.
Yeah, but people may not have listened to our stuff yet.
They probably should.
They should. I agree. SoundCloud.com/WNRS.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
No, Troy Hollywood, Stu Strikes, Marcos Espada, who hasn't been on our show yet.
I can remedy that. Let me know.
Okay. All kinds of female talent. We've got a smorgasbord. The South is a real big hotbed for wrestling, particularly with Florida, because I guess there's some bullshit in Orlando that everybody wants to go to.
Yeah, I guess.
So, no, there's wrestling all over the place. It's all very good. Book Soo Young. She's great, too. Although she's not even a Florida talent anymore.
No.
She's all over the goddamn place. Yeah. But she was Florida for a minute.
Yeah, Soo Young, I think, is definitely grown past the Florida talent thing. She's ascended as the Undead Bride should.
Right. No, Coda, everybody. There's Florida. There's great people in Florida.
Barrington Hughes.
Yeah. Aaron Epic. There's all kinds of super talented people in Florida.
There's the name I was looking for. Was Aaron Epic. He's only been up here a couple times. There was actually a short-lived promotion that loved booking him, and they were kind of pushing him to the moon, but the guy...
Well, they should have.
I didn't necessarily say they went out of business. I think he just said, fuck it. They did 6 shows total. 3 were public. 3 were private shows that were... that they taped, and they were going to... Or I should say secret shows, that's the right word for it. That they were going to put on DVD. And that's where I first met Aaron Epic. And absolutely amazing dude. And I think he was actually heel. And I think I yelled epic fail to him. And at this time, it was probably my 5th independent wrestling show. Jumps out of the ring, gets in my face. And I'm like, ooh, oh shit. He immediately kind of earned my respect. And I was a huge fan of his. And I'm sad that nobody has booked him to come back up here, because I thought he was a really good talent. And that was back at the beginning of 2012. And since then, he's gotten nothing but better, and his name's gotten a little bit bigger, but there's still nobody even close to booking him around here. And I mean, not just even Ohio with, AIW and Rockstar Pro, but IWA Mid-South, IWC and Pittsburgh. And there's nobody that seemed to be pulling. He's the guy that I'm really, really rooting for. And I think of all my wrestling shirts that I have an obscure one of his that was made by that promotion that's no longer around. And there's every so once in a while someone will see it and they'll be like, that's an awesome shirt.
Here, you ready? I'll do this one for you too. If you'd like a new Aaron Epic shirt, you can get that at fullygimmick.com. That's right, www.fullygimmick.com. We may know the owner.
That's true. No, Aaron Epic is
one of us may have seen the owner naked.
If you buy 2 shirts, no. No, Aaron Epic is the best.
Aaron Epic's jumping out and yelling at a fan. You would never think of such a thing.
My stars and garters. I would have never.
My stars.
No, I've seen Aaron Epic yell some pretty ridiculous things.
So the the most pissed I've ever seen Aaron Epic was not at a fan. It was definitely a few shows ago where they played the wrong music for him.
Oh, God, my life flashed before my eyes. No, I think my favorite, if I had to pick a favorite Aaron Epic quote from the last year, it was probably when he was in an intergender tag team match. It was him and Mermaid, Aspen Rose, versus Troy Hollywood and Selena De La Renta. And when the referee was checking them before the match, he went to check Selena, a.k.a. the Booty Monster, and she turned around to let the ref check her Booty Monster. And the referee paused, and Aaron Epic yelled at the top of his lungs, "You better check that woman's asshole." And I wanted to make that a shirt. No one else really went with that for me. I lost the vote on that. But yeah, no, pretty amazing. And again, also, side note, he's a great wrestler. He's a fantastic wrestler.
Amazing wrestler.
But also, he has yelled some pretty ridiculous things at crowds that make me very happy.
So, but yes, number one, go buy his shirts at fullygimmick.com. Number two, since you are obviously, I'm gonna say you are right now the podcast voice of Ohio.
True.
I am now speaking to you, Ohio residents who have never listened, never heard us before. Go look up Aaron Epic a little bit. Look at some of the stuff he does. In fact, you can look him up at Punk Pro Wrestling.
That's true.
Where he is the Punk Pro, Fully Gimmick Punk Pro heavyweight champion for quite a while. And you can find the Punk Pro shows. Where, Zach?
Pivot Share. Punk Pro is, the full shows are on Pivot Share. Also, if you scrounge around on YouTube, you can find some clips.
But go find him, and then beg your local promoter to bring Aaron Epic in and ask.
Book Aaron Epic 2018. That's our new hashtag.
The traveling serial killers to your neck of the woods, because he will definitely give you an excellent show.
Absolutely.
With some awesome theme music. Make sure they bring the right one.
Oh, for the love of Christ.
He will get really unhappy.
Since
that was the nut-swinging Aaron Epic portion of the episode.
that was the get your shit in part of the episode. I think I got the IndyKast type in, I got fully gimmicked in, and I got your pivot shirt.
Hey, Mark, cross all those off.
There you go. I am the voice of the merch list.
if you have bingo on your IndyKast bingo card, please send in a copy at wrestlingcheers@gmail.com, and we will send you probably nothing but...
Let me go old school IndyKast on this one. For those of you playing the IndyKast drinking game at home, please take a drink for all of my get our shit in.
All you're missing was a Stan Hansen reference.
And for those of you playing the IndyKast drinking game at home, please take 2 drinks, one for a Stan Hansen reference and one for Zach stealing my gimmick.
That's true. That's what I'm here for.
We're commonly known, we're all geeks, and we all love wrestling. I mean, we do wrestling podcasts. Is there anything within wrestling that you collect?
Oh, shit. Well, unfortunately, I'm stuck collecting T-shirts, which I'm looking into getting like a T-shirt quilt made out of just wrestling shirts because I have so badly many of them.
That would be adorable, by the way.
Do you have a number?
Oh, Jesus. A number of shirts? No, I've stopped counting. The shame set in. I stopped counting.
I think my wrestling shirt collection's become crazy because of you.
That's true.
Because of that.
Well, let's see. So let's talk about some of your wrestling collectibles, because you've got some good.
I think the highlight of my wrestling collectibles is a signed by pretty much the entire roster ECW Cyber Slam 2000 poster. ECW, before the internet really became a thing, used to do an internet convention over a weekend in the Philadelphia area. They did one show in Allentown, I think, that they bust a bunch of us over for, and then had a show at the ECW arena, and then in the daytime they had big Q&A panels where at the end of the panel everybody would come over and sign stuff. I still have that poster to this day that's signed by Paul Heyman, the Dudleys, Balls and Axel, you name it. If they were on the roster in 2000 in ECW, Tommy Dreamer, Just Incredible, I've got their autograph on it. I own a lot of wrestling books. I definitely have Dusty Rhodes' autobiography signed by Dusty. That was down here at a Florida Championship show that they did outside at the lot of a car dealership.
That is Southern as hell.
And I can tell you that Dusty was there as like your big kind of pull because he was signing free autograph. But I can tell you that I got to see one of my favorite wrestlers ever, You know how much I love this guy. I got to see Low-Key on that show. Yeah, no, your eye roll. You can't hear his eye roll, but it definitely was there. I'm not going to go on my Low-Key rant right now.
Well, let's go on soapbox about that. Anyway.
Yeah. But there was a bunch of people that actually kind of became names on that show. What else? God. Got masks. I've got pop figures. I've got...
For me, I do have some masks.
You've got me beat in the mask department.
Well, I only wear them fully nude.
Yeah,
That's
well...
it. It's Santo mask and nothing else.
That's why I do some of the shows over at Fully Derek headquarters.
I only record masked and nude.
Remember, I said somebody you see the owner of Fully Gimmick Naked. I never said which one it was.
That was which one. Let's see. The other things I collect is I do collect. I've slowed down considerably over the last probably 2 years, but I have a decent Mattel wrestling figure collection. Usually of more. I'm not going to be like a hipster. Like I only get the obscure ones, but I do have like oddly specific ones here and there. I do a lot of enamel pins right now. I'm collecting a lot of wrestling pins. I have a really obnoxious collection of there. And then the other thing is, I don't have many of them, but I do have a couple of the LJN rubber figures.
Nice.
And there's an independent company called Lunar Crypt, and hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag sponsor us.
Yes, please. That have been doing a series of horror-themed wrestling LJN figures.
Oh.
And I have a Crimson Ghost, and I have a Part 2 Friday the 13th Jason that's made out of a hillbilly Jim.
That's my favorite part about that. That's made out of a hillbilly.
The Crimson Ghost is made out of Roddy Piper.
Also made.
Yeah. And that's about all I collect in terms of wrestling. Although I did just pick up a new poster from Kaiju Big Battle, so I've got that to hang up on my wall.
We could go into a really big discussion about T-shirts, because that's the main thing I collect. Like, I never got into figures as much. I mean, I had some Hasbros as a kid. I love these re-releases that they're doing, but
yes,
ever since after the first wave, every store that I go to does not even sell them, so I have to go online, so that completely sucks. But
they just mentioned at Comic-Con the new retro figures that they got hosed on distribution, so they're going to do it better this next wave. And this next wave has fucking Iron Sheik in it, so I'm buying that shit.
Yeah. But like T-shirts, I'm at around 250.
Holy shit.
Okay, you got me beat.
And it keeps growing because I've subscribed to the WWE Loot Crate, and then me going to just shows with Absolution this weekend or this past weekend when people are listening to it, is I know I'm buying 2 shirts like before I'm even in there a minute, because people are having like Magnum CK and Derek Director. I'm buying their shirts, so that's adding to the collection. And I've lost count, because one thing that I'm doing this year on Instagram, which I think some people have heard me talk about, I'm doing a different T-shirt every day. So if I wear a shirt once, I'm not wearing it again. If I do, I don't post it. And I think right now I'm at 186 or 7.
Well, now I gotta fuck up all those numbers. I gotta send a shitload of shirts.
I would say, because you collect wrestling shirts, what are some of your favorites that you have?
Well, like I said, I'm somewhat biased here.
Yeah.
Because I fucking make them. So.
Right. Okay, well then let me adjust the question a little bit, and then I'll take it. What's your, and this maybe this is like asking your favorite child type of situation. Are you shaking your head? Are you shaking me off this question?
No, I'm shaking you as you think it's difficult. It's super nice.
Oh, okay. What's the favorite shirt you guys have designed?
My absolute favorite fully gimmicked T-shirt goes to the tag team of Martin Stone and Aaron Epic, known the world over as straight up boner fuel, and that shirt has a shark with a anthropomorphic bulldog riding it, firing a chain gun into the air with an atomic bomb explosion behind it. It was a giant pain in the ass to make. We made them almost exclusively for AWE in Atlanta, and when we walked into that building with a box of those shirts hot off the presses, someone's 51-year-old grandmother came up to us and asked, "Do you have the boner shirts in stock?" In which I got confidently look that woman in the eye and say, "Yes, ma'am, we've got the boner shirts." So that hands down my favorite shirt we ever did. Now, don't get me wrong, we've done some super kick-ass Aaron Epic shirts, and
the Aaron Epic whiskey shirt might still be one of
that is a great one that Luna came up with. We've done a shitload of Su Yung shirts.
Which your latest one, by the way? Wow.
The splatter effect one, yeah. We've got all kinds of stuff that we've done for all kinds of wrestlers. They're super creative. We are sometimes creative. Doesn't work out well, but hands down, no, straight up Boner Fuel. My absolute favorite t-shirt we ever did.
My favorite wrestling shirt I've ever owned all time. God damn, I loved that old school Sandman shirt when I had it.
Yeah.
Like the original one with like, him posing with the cane up in the air and the beer bottle and the beer cans and stuff. That one's got to be a big one. Actually, my uncle still owns that shirt. God love him. I brought it back from him from Philadelphia once, and he still wears that shirt to this day. And I love the fact that he does that. Lately, though, I don't know, that Scary Sue one you guys did. I love my the half mask one.
Oh yeah.
Might be one of my favorites. So.
Now, Zach, do you have a favorite one that you haven't designed, or just one that you've actually had in your collection?
Well, obviously, there's a special place in my heart for the 8-bit Mega Powers and Mega Bucks shirts, because obviously that started a friendship, so those hold a special place in my heart. The one off the top of my noodle, you know what? I'm going to give two answers. I'm going to give a non-hipstery answer and then a very hipstery answer.
You starting with a non?
The non-hipstery one, I just realized he doesn't do it anymore, but I have the, from Pro Wrestling Tees, I have, definitely not putting them over, I have the Kenny Omega Texas Chainsaw Massacre shirt.
Amazing.
When he was doing the chainsaw arm. So I have that. It weighs a ton because the printing they had to do on it, it's like, it just weighs a ton on the front because it's all ink.
Right.
That's a favorite of mine. My hipster answer is I own an electric zombie undead wrestlers. It's, what was the arcade cabinet? WrestleFest?
WrestleFest?
I have a WrestleFest shirt, but they're all zombies that
Nice.
was done by a Florida artist named Electric Zombie. It is awesome. It is one of my absolute favorite shirts, but it's my hipster one. You can't buy that shit anymore because you got hit with a cease and desist.
Yeah.
So that is one of my absolute favorites.
I actually have somewhere around here the Doink sticker that you bought me that I turned into a Doink magnet.
That's true.
So that
and then you also have a pizza box too that he did, which has
I do indeed. That's also part of my wrestling collection with Brutus Barber Beefcake.
yeah, which again was another season.
Which I think you got a bunch of that shit for free because he was like,
Can't sell
I gotta
more.
get rid of this, so here you go.
So that's the hipster one. Shout out to Electric Zombie. Love his work.
Who still does some cool work.
Does.
I think for me, one of my favorites, because I like ones that kind of stand out, maybe that could be considered hipster-ish. Like there's some like cool designs that I do, like, maybe NWO, Bullet Club, DX, whatever, like those that were mass produced and a lot of people have, but there's always ones that like when people see and they're just like, oh my God, like that's a really cool shirt, or they have some sort of reaction to it. Some of my favorites are, I did buy this year the Ric Flair KFC shirt that WWE came out with. And
oh shit! I didn't know that was a thing. God, I would have bought that too.
yeah, like the night that of Royal Rumble when they actually aired that commercial, they released it, and I think it was a one run because I noticed once sizes started going out of stock, they never came back, and I happened to catch it on a deal where I was able to get my size right before they went out of stock. So that's a really cool one because obviously people see that like, oh, Ric Flair, KFC, that's cool. I have a Drew McIntyre shirt from his original run in WWE, and the story that I love behind it is I wore it to an AIW show that Cole Cabana was at, and he's looking at me just like looking at his merch. He goes, whose shirt's that? And in my head, I'm like, all right, like this guy, he's worked so many different independent shows. He has to know what it is. Like maybe there's a reason why he's actually asking me. So I go like, Drew McIntyre? He's like, I've never seen a Drew McIntyre shirt in my life. That just blew me away that this guy who's worked all these shows has never seen one, and he saw it when I was wearing it. And I did get to tell Drew McIntyre that the day that he returned back to WWE at WrestleCon. And my last one is I have a Chris Candido shirt that I bought from Sonny off of Facebook, and I wore it to a House of Hardcore show, and it was just kind of like, oh, cool, like Philly Arena, that's like the only thing that I had that's actually from that era, like Chris Candido. Legitimately every ECW legend that's seen it gave me a compliment. Tommy Dreamer walked by me and he goes, nice shirt, nice fucking shirt. Like gave me a pat on the back and everything. Like he was impressed. I'm like, wow. I wasn't wearing it for a reaction. I was wearing it because I felt it was a cool shirt to wear to the arena. And
did you Did you wash it a few times in hot water because Sonny sold it to you?
Hey, come on.
No? No? I shouldn't have said that?
That was years before she started doing porn. So...
Yeah, but probably never mind. I already got yelled at once.
Yeah, other T-shirt memory is when saw the one and only Chikara show in Tampa.
Yes.
I was wearing my Road Warrior shirt, and Sidney Bacabello went, "That's a nice shirt," and I was like, "Oh, thanks, Sidney. I like your shirt too." He's like, "Thanks, Ted, buy a shirt." And I was like, "Oh, I gotta go."
God, we gotta get this. We gotta get that episode back up on Sidney Bacabello episode.
All right, we're going to start to wrap this show up. Before we do, we have to get into the newly cemented thing that we're doing here on the podcast, and that is the Wrestling Cheers Fave 5 questions. And since this is new, even though I have explained it to you off air, but for those who don't know, it's in the vein of Booker T. And if you ever really listen to Booker T when he was on commentary with all his amazing catchphrases like shucky ducky, quack quack, and all that, he always said this wrestler was in his Fave 5. It's always, he's in my Fave 5, he's in my Fave 5, he's in my Fave. He always said more than 5 people were in his Fave 5. So, in the spirit of Booker T, there are 6 questions. And since I've originally introduced this, I have added a bunch more, and I get to pick which ones we do. And I'm going to start with a very classic one for you both. And both options have follow-up questions. And that's,
oh boy,
bacon or sausage?
Bacon.
Sausage all day.
Okay.
How dare you?
the bacon follow-up is crispy or not crispy, and the sausage follow-up is link or patty.
I need a bit of a chewier bacon. I don't want it super crispy. I need some bite to my bacon.
I vote don't give a shit either way. I'll take them in links or patties. I don't care. I'll give a real answer. If it's like just a breakfast, like if it's like scrambled eggs and bleh, I'll take it in links. But if it's a sandwich, then I'll take it patty all day.
I figure that's pretty much common. I think it'd be more or less if you're having it with eggs and pancakes or whatever. Do you want a patty or sausage? Yeah. What would be a really fun, controversial one? Okay. What do you feel is the best physical portrayal, and I have to say physical, sorry, Mark Hamill, portrayal of the Joker?
Ooh, you're falling right into my wheelhouse now. Physical,
I'm going to answer Jack Nicholson is my answer because he represented so much of what the Joker was, the comic books at the time, of being very theatrical, but also being unhinged. And he shoots Bob the henchman, and he's like, "I don't need a minute." Like, that's so. I'm my number one. Thank you, Jack Palance. Yeah, no, and him and Batman are fighting in the goddamn bell tower, and then randomly he's just like, "Oh, you made me, you idiot!" And he's like, "Well, you fucking killed my parents, so you made me." And then Joker's like, "Yeah, I made you, you made me. It's stupid. What are we even talking about?" Like, that kind of stuff wins me over.
Physical, since you specified physical embodiment, I'm actually going to agree with Zach.
Cesar Romero.
Yes, Cesar Romero. Nicholson is definitely the best physical embodiment of the Joker, but Heath Ledger is the best Joker, since he took Hamill out of the equation.
True, all right.
Vocally, Hamill's the best Joker.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, when I originally did this question on Facebook, everybody wanted to go Mark Hamill, and I'm like, well, I get that, but I want to go more movies and TV, because people actually had to put on makeup and everything, and they have the certain mannerisms that they have to do. Then I had someone try to tell me, well, if you've ever watched him in videos, he'll do the mannerisms, I'm like, well, he didn't do it for a movie or a TV show. I get that he does it for cons so he can get into character. He's really good, but if you threw Joker makeup on that, you'd go, why is Luke Skywalker wearing makeup?
No, true.
And me personally, I'm a huge Heath Ledger fan. But I feel like there's no right or wrong answer except Jared Leto. That's wrong.
That's a hot take.
I will say briefly, because I don't want to stretch this out too long, I am mildly interested in the Joaquin Phoenix movie that's coming out, because I'm a huge Joaquin Phoenix fan. So I'm interested to see where he takes it.
As my hot take on that, I am super not interested.
Really?
Because I feel like this is the next step in DC's answer for everything.
Sure.
The previous step was make everything Batman. And
sure.
Now the answer is make everything Joker.
Right.
And so I am super not
As a Joker fan, I am perfectly okay with them making everything Joker. And I even don't mind Jared Leto's performance either.
Well, you like sheep. So what's the next question?
I'm curious.
Since we're food guys, well, I'll go to a food one. When you have in your wings, bone in or boneless?
Okay.
I was going to say bone out so I could go bing bong.
Big bong. Boneless wings are chicken nuggets and sauce.
Oh, look whose grandpa was on Facebook recently. Look at you. Why don't you send me that chain letter too while you're at it?
Bone-in wings
is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes, it is.
Oh, look at you.
Hey, don't ruin a question that you're going to get asked later.
as a board resident of upstate New York, not that far away from Buffalo, I would like to bone in, and if you bread those wings, I'm going to slap the shit out of you.
Oh, okay.
You like bread, and that's why I hate wings down here in Florida, because all the wing places bread their goddamn wings, and now they're all like, oh, we got a naked version. Yeah, but then you don't know how to cook them because you're still trying to cook them like you've got the breading on them, and then you cook them too hard. So.
I have. Here's my logic towards it. I go with boneless because my fat mass is like, well, I'm gonna get more meat out of this because I'm not gonna.
You go boneless because you like to toy with your Happy Meal,
right? Because Mom says the bones I could choke on them, so I gotta go with bone.
Big bar.
No, because I've always had. I'm gonna get real personal for a second. I've always had real shitty bone technique, and so I've in eating regular traditional wings.
That's not what
I never got a decent amount of meat in my mouth from it, and so I was just going with boneless because like that, that just made more sense. Now, with that being said, in recent years I've been watching a lot of videos on how to get more meat off the bone, so and I can't watch the videos in public for some reason. I don't know why they're blocking them.
Your ex-hamster search is supposed to be real.
How dare you? It's Pornhub. I'm not an animal. Anyway, so I have been more going towards traditional lately, but just by and large, just for ease of access, I eat it like an aristocrat. I eat with the fork, the boneless, and then I'm right in the blue cheese.
You're making me think of like one of my favorite effie insults for a guy that was yelling sexual slurs at him, and he goes, "Sir, you're what do you say? Your Google search looks way too much like me for you to be saying words like
true.
that."
That's true. So there you go. There's my heart-wrenching reveal about why I go with boneless wings, because I'm intimidated by traditional.
There you go.
Now, do you have them cut up before you eat them, or do you do that by yourself?
Does Luna feed them to you in your high chair?
Luna cuts them for me, but sometimes I can do it myself. If it's the bigger pieces, I can do it myself.
Question 3.
Glad I've become a child in the show. That's the narrative.
You made me grandpa for revenge, fucker. What do you want from me?
I've lost track.
I think we're going into 4.
He's lost track too.
Okay, good.
When it comes to your media, such as movies and music, are you physical media or digital?
Good question. Oh, me?
Movie boy?
Oh,
I've been in your house. I know what your movie is.
I was going to say, let me start by saying, how do I put this delicately? I watch a lot of awful shit.
You do like
a lot of bad movies.
Mostly for reviews, though. You have a minor excuse.
That's the saddest thing, is like just with the amount of time I have, I watch bad movies.
You just watch it for fun anyway.
I can't. I'm just always watching shitty movies, and so a lot of the time they aren't available digitally. So I end up having this huge collection of really shitty movies on DVD. And now, thanks to Jesse at Kick Out of 2, I'm being tempted back into the realm of VHS tapes. So
that's hysterical.
So who knows what other dead mediums I'll be grabbing into next. But yeah, I'm mostly physical, just because of ease of access.
Yeah, Jesse is getting me wanting to get VHSs too, so you're not the only one.
God damn it.
Movies, I tend to be more physical. Music, I tend to be more digital. Spotify's like my best friend when it comes to music.
No, I'm a big old hipster. I get a lot on vinyl.
Well, because of that, you've turned my wife into a bit of a hipster because she's buying stuff on vinyl.
However, I will make a note here that Luna is the one who gets music on vinyl. I get dumb shit on vinyl. I'm
giving you dumb shit on vinyl.
Yes, I get movie soundtracks. I get Manos the Hands of Fate on vinyl. That's the dumb shit.
What is the Manos Hands of Fate vinyl?
Oh, motherfucker, because I thought it was the soundtrack. It's the whole shitty movie on vinyl. Because where would you get the soundtrack from a public domain film that was made filtered through a bag of dog shit? So, no, it's just an audio version of the shitty movie.
That's amazing. Question 5?
Yeah,
Sure.
we are
keep setting him up. What if we're on question 8 and now he's got to edit around this?
Well, it's their fault for not keeping us in check.
Save 8. Anyway, go ahead.
Question number 5, and it's very, very appropriate that I am christening this, asking it for the first time to you guys. It is the official Wilkman question from A Kick Out of 2, and that is, of course, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
100% yes. Bruce Willis by the way, Bruce Willis is a cranky bitch. Who came out recently and said it's not.
Yeah, it's not, even though one of the co-writers of it says it is.
Yeah.
But I've heard the argument.
Bruce, you miserable bastard.
I've heard the
I can't wait to see Glass.
Yeah, I've heard the argument that it's not because the holidays don't really play a factor in the film. But my argument towards that, against that, is when Bruce Willis gets the machine gun and leaves the dead terrorist there, on the sweater that the terrorist wears, it does not say, fiddle-dee-dee, I have a gun now. It says, I've got a machine gun now, ho ho ho.
Right.
So that is my catalyst of, no, it's a Christmas movie. It's not just dressing, it's obviously that it is making reference there. So, yeah, a Christmas movie. However, follow-up question, what is the best Die Hard film?
That one. I mean, no.
With a Vengeance with fucking Samuel L. Jackson. Like, come on now.
I like the first one better still. First one with
Hans Gruber?
Come on.
His arms get goobly at the end when he falls off the building. It's like RoboCop.
And take my advice, I love Kevin Smith, but it's definitely not the one with
Oh,
Kevin Smith.
no, don't. It's chewy. Yucky. No.
Question 6 of 5.
Well, the follow-up kind of is for that, because I feel like it links in, and everybody's going to have their own. Just please don't say Die Hard. Is what is your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, we've had this conversation on the show before.
That's true. That's true.
Christmas Shoes the movie. No.
Kick you right in the teeth.
There is a Christmas Shoes the movie too, by the way.
Am I going to have to review that like I reviewed goddamn Spookly?
That you could. That would be hysterical. I'll review it with you if you want. Favorite Christmas movie? Probably Christmas Story is, I think, my all-time favorite.
Which I think we talked about this in the show, so I'm not going to go into my diatribe.
Because you hate it.
Used to hate it. As I'm getting older, I'm getting the movie.
Are you turning?
I'm at least understanding the film now. Because when I was a kid, it was just his boring shit. Now as an adult, I'm like, I see where...
Oh, well, see, the funny part is, for me, it's gotten better now that I'm a father.
True. I'm sure that, yeah.
Like, I was Ralphie, now I'm seeing the old man. It's like people who, like, when they used to watch The Simpsons, like, were...
Bart, and now I'm Homer. Yeah.
So...
Jesus, for me, I don't remember what my answer was originally.
By the way, Nightmare Before Christmas is way up there.
That's
true.
Like
1A.
That's true. That's good.
And there's enough Nightmare Before Christmas stuff in my house to prove it.
That's true. Okay, if I'm doing the same bullshit, I would say, I'm going to say Animated Grinch.
Okay.
Because Boris Karloff in the fucking narration. How do you beat that?
It's the Jim Carrey one can go straight to hell.
What about the fucking Benedict Cumberbatch one?
I was about to say...
Oh my god, that looks god-awful, and I like Benedict.
Like, I would honestly...
I like Thundercoop Bumbersnatch.
I would rather... Again, you're going to send me the chainmail letter?
Son of a bitch.
No, I would rather have a small child use my groin as a punching bag than watch that Benedict Cumberbatch bullshit.
I would rather watch Manos Hands of Fate without the
Ooh, I own that on Blu-ray.
By itself?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
I helped kickstart it. Anyway,
you shouldn't have
so one number one with a bullet is Animated Grinch. 1A would probably be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the claymation one.
Nice.
Yukon Cornelius,
That's
the Bumble, Herbie the Misfit Elf, Island Misfit Toys.
They had a meet and greet at Busch Gardens.
Yeah.
With all of them, and I had my mom and my 7-year-old daughter at the time with me there. And do you want to know who the most excited was to go see all those characters was? Definitely the 41-year-old at the time.
You're like, Yukon Cornelius, get your big ginger ass over here.
I have a picture of me hugging Sam the Snowman.
Yeah, of course.
Like
for a live,
serious, like legit, like tears in my eyes kind of hug. I'm not
That's awesome.
ashamed to admit it.
That's awesome. Good follow-up, though. I like that.
I'll throw out the same invite that you guys did. If you ever come up to Ohio, Northeast Ohio and Cleveland, not only will we go to an AIW show, but we can go to the Christmas Story House.
Yeah.
I think I tried to get. I would love to go to the Christmas Story House, by the way, and I think I tried to get Matt Wadsworth once to try to fly us to get us flown up as a special guest for the.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I told me, hey, here, tell these two jackasses.
That's right. Couldn't hurt to ask. You miss 100% shots you don't take.
Thank you, Mark Romero. Anyway,
that was a Wayne Gretzky quote originally too.
Mark Romero stole that shit.
Yeah, he did. So, question 7 of 7
I think is
7
that
of 9.
Is that? Oh, look at you. I'll respect that one.
That other one was a follow-up, so we are on question 6.
Oh,
the final question,
all right.
your tailored question for you, and that is: the Disney Vault is about to go up in flames, and you can only run in and save one movie. What is it?
Oh, Jesus! What a good question. Don't you? I know what you're going to say.
Which one am I going to say?
SOTS.
Yeah,
I knew that shit.
You're damn right.
That's why I'm your co-host.
I'm going in because I've been wanting a copy of it for a long time. My wife and I are horrible people.
You're mixed race.
We are a mixed race couple. Yeah, let me
clarify.
Yeah, let me clarify before I give my answer. My wife is black. I am as Caucasian as I can be. But we have a horrible thing of occasionally collecting really racist artwork and stuff like that because we think it's funny. And it makes people uncomfortable. And our crowning jewel that we still want in our collection one day is a DVD copy of Song of the South. And we have yet to be able to find it.
By the way, I've watched several reviews of it. It's just boring. That's its greatest.
We don't care. Right.
It's just a boring film. But
right.
Yeah, no. It's,
Zippity Doodah came out of that.
Zippity, yeah. Real racist.
But if we're not talking
let's not be hipsters.
If we're not going hipster on this one, we're going into the vault.
Well, I think the vault in this case would be like every Disney movie that ever existed.
Yeah.
For me, my top Disney movie is Alice in Wonderland.
Excellent. Those were the first Disney films I bought on DVD. That fell victim to marketing. Oh shit.
Coco.
Probably
Zootopia.
Jungle to Jungle.
Jungle to
Jungle.
Mimi Siku.
Shit, I don't know, man. I'm gonna say, because Little John could defeat Thanos, I'm gonna go with Robin Hood.
All right.
Nope. No response to the Thanos reference. That's fair. That's your show. That's cool. Both of you. That's fine. Set that up as a clear. Hey, what do you mean by that? Nope. That's fine. We're not gonna worry about it.
I'll just put on an Infinity Gauntlet right now and snap and boom. There's even no more Robin Hood ever.
Well, what I'm saying is the scene when Robin Hood and Little John are the gypsies, and he kisses Prince John's hand and sucks the jewels out of the fucking thing. Does it to Thanos, boom, Infinity Gauntlet useless, suck Baloo's dick. There you go. That's how that movie goes. Well, great questions. I gotta say, Heavy said that. I love this format, and
we'll be stealing it next episode.
We're super gonna steal the shit out of it.
We got the bomb shelters next week, so yeah, we'll be stealing that.
But no, I love it. Great format. Love the questions. Love the follow-up questions. I feel like I can't look Year Without a Santa Claus in the eye anymore, or A Christmas Carol with George C. Scott. I feel like I'm shamed both of them, but good questions.
All right. Any final thoughts or last-minute plugs before you go?
www.soundcloud.com/WNRN. That is short for Wrestling Nerds Radio Network. Follow us
Home of, 4 shows, technically? The IndyKast, Team Hammer Fist,
Wrestle Crush Whenever,
Golden Guys
with me and Rick the Sussman Sussman,
and Monster of the Week.
Yep.
So yeah, 4 different shows on that.
And who knows, possibly more. I think there's even rumor of a big super show coming up. We'll see. That could be interesting into itself. So
there's that. We also have an IndyKast YouTube channel, which I'm trying to update with older interviews. There's also some animated episodes on there.
You're really going to talk to Buckshot about doing another one.
You can pay Buckshot. And let's see what else. Yeah, fullygimmick.com. We've been doing a weekly summer sale where we've been putting up limited run designs.
By the time this goes up, who knows what it'll be?
Yeah, by the time this goes up, you missed out on the Stu Young splatter shirt. The week before that was the Jamie Senegal Boner City Las Vegas shirt.
Gary J. Chop
House. Yeah, there's been a lot of super weird experimental designs we've been doing. Yeah, fullygimmick.com, that's the big merch site that we're all connected to, and they do great work. I know, because I have to fucking help make them. Fully Gimmick Fight Club. If anybody owns a Roku, and download the free B-Movie TV channel.
Which you should.
Because, oh my God, there's some real stink burgers on there, and they are so much fun to watch. But there's also a weekly wrestling showcase show that I host and commentate with various guests, including this fine gentleman sitting next to me. So that's on there. So B-Movie TV on the Roku. Fully Gimmick Fight Club is the name of the show. I'm doing a couple of different shows in Florida. I'm ring announcing for weekly ACW Proving Ground. I've done ring announcing for Punk Pro.
Oh, let's give the hype to Punk Pro.
August the 26th. Punk Pro Can't Be Saved. Let's see. Trip Cassidy fights Drennan for the Fully Gimmick heavyweight title.
How about a round robin tournament?
Robin tournament to decide the number one contender for the title.
Warhorse Jake Parnell, Gary J., John Davis, and the aforementioned
Desperate Epic. Ladder match for the Get Your Shit In title. Matt Kenway versus Jonathan Wolf. There'll also be a traditional Get Your Shit In scramble to decide the number one contendership there. I'm going to be real stressed and sweaty. That's pretty good reason to go.
Yeah.
My dad might be there because John Davis is booked. That's a pretty good reason.
We've got quite a litany in the peanut gallery this time.
True, there'll be a lot of obnoxious fans.
If you want to come and be obnoxious with us, come join me.
Oh, and we almost forgot. Effie and Izzy, the super fan.
That's right.
Are fucking going head to head, and so you got to see that. That's gonna be awesome. As long as we don't get shut down by a third party, and the venue kicks us out. So, other than that, social media stuff. Or IndyKast everywhere on social media.
INDYKAST, yes, INDYKAST,
fuck proper spelling.
That's right.
And we've been going strong for 5 years, just like this fine man who's helped host us tonight. And so keep supporting us. Support other great podcasts like this and Kick Out at 2. And
Wrestling Cheers.
Yep. And drive home safe and be nice to somebody in the parking lot.
Don't forget to rewind the tape.
There you go.
Spread the word of the wrestling nerd.
Oh, there you go.
Got the tagline in, too. Look at that.
Boneless wings are okay, too. Their other catchphrases? Check that asshole. I don't know what else we've said. Die Hard, why is Hans Gruber's brother also a bad guy? That's dumb.
For all of you playing the IndyKast drinking game at home.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. That's it for us.
I think we're done.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Go Disney. Go to fucking Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
There's the Pet Cemetery in the front.
Which is amazing. With the
get Dole Whip.
Now we have like Tourette's now.
I'm trying to think of everything we've talked about. We've been talking for like 7 hours. Yeah, I don't remember anything.
We can stop now.
Okay,
we're good.
Well,
we're good.
We're normally more entertaining than this. Let's go listen to our show too. Goodbye.
This is the Bone Collector Dominic Rini. You're listening to Wrestling Cheers. Don't turn that dial or I'll choke you out.
A very, very fun episode there with the IndyKast. I did shoot over a message after we had recorded about a day or so after, saying that it was a pleasure to do the crossover episode. I went back and re-listened to their part too, and they're great people. It wasn't the full crew, but still, I'm a firm supporter of guys like the IndyKast and Kick Out at 2. And I mean, all the other podcasts that I always mention on a weekly basis. And you know what? We'll get to them in just a second. But there's this show, Wrestling Cheers. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. We still have the iTunes or the Apple Podcast, whatever you want to call it, the ratings, reviews. Please do them. And there's actually a couple people who didn't screenshot them and send them to us. Some people I can tell by the name, but not everybody can I tell who they are type thing. So if you do that, simply screenshot it and send us a private message on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, those are at facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. And if we're not following you, so you can DM us, especially on Twitter, just send us a tweet and we'll follow you. I try to follow everybody that I know is a fan, but sometimes, that stuff gets swept under the rug. And of course, we got a merch store over at onemaneuver.net. Check out all the shows on the Trending Topics Network, such as All Beer Inside, Eurovision Showcase, and Chill in the 450 podcast. Check out all our podcasting friends, such as Pod Van Dam, Adults, Benefits of Podcasting, Center Stage, SENTAR Stage, Super Fantastic Podcast, Road Home from Wrestling, and the previous shows that I've mentioned already, Kick Out at 2 and the IndyKast. Check out our non-podcast friends such as Thrift Store Jobber, Rebel Life Media, The Savage Stash, Set Tab Photo, Ring Shots Photography, Enio Sports Insiders, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on this bonus episode of Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, even if you don't know what Gecko is. Hashtag Team Gecko for life. Later.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Would you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where